Hey everyone, this is Billy again. How's everybody doing today? So I'm back here on the walking track, and I haven't done one in a while. So today we're going to do a YouTube vlog. And so I was trying to think of which YouTuber I wanted to do, and I came up. This is kind of a little bit different because this guy that I'm going to talk about today isn't a straight YouTube channel person. In fact, he has a podcast, and that's what he's mostly known for, is his podcast. And of course, I'm talking about Solomonster Sound. I think his name is Jason Solomon. He runs a podcast, and he has a YouTube channel. And so I guess we'll start a little bit talking about his podcast a little bit here. His podcast is basically a straight wrestling podcast. He reviews Raw, NXT. He doesn't watch SmackDown. He'll talk about SmackDown a little bit during his Raw review, but he usually just talks about Raw, NXT, ROH, and Lucha Underground. And he'll talk about TNA too. So whatever's going on with those organizations is what he talks about. And every now and then he'll throw in New Japan and stuff like that. They're more of a straightforward review. Now, I'm more into comedy stuff, and he does cut jokes in the middle of his reviews and stuff like that. Like he's talked about like the smart towns. Like he wants to see a map where what WWE thinks is all the smart areas or something like that. And then he cuts all kinds of different jokes and stuff in there, and he's funny, but he's intelligent, and most of them are just straight, cover reviews. He talks about what happened. So like, if you don't, let's say you miss Raw, like I had a wrestling blackout like last year because I was like from WrestleMania on to like almost Survivor Series. No, Hell in a Cell I think was the first pay-per-view I watched. And that was because I was in Los Angeles, California. And at the time, I didn't have the WWE Network or anything like that. And so I had a wrestling blackout. I completely was blacked out of what was going on in wrestling. But the reason why I was able to keep up with the product was because I was listening to his show every week. But now I'm back. I'm watching the product full time again. So I'm happy about that. I'm out of LA now. But and one day I'll tell you those stories too. I got a lot of stories I can tell you. LA, WrestleMania, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm getting off track. But anyways, so I was able to keep up with wrestling through him. And even though I don't know anything about ROH or in Lucha Underground, I saw a lot of the first season, but I haven't been able to keep up with it since then. I'm able to know what's going on because of him. So he's really good at just giving you straight up reviews and every now and then cracking jokes in the middle of them. He's real funny when he cracks his jokes. So that's what his podcast is like. Now, what is his YouTube channel like? Well, his YouTube channel, I want to talk about two YouTube channels actually here. I want to talk about his, and I'm going to talk about TV Traxs because that's how I discovered him. So let's go to TV Traxs first. With TV Traxs, what they do is they take bits of each person's podcast. Like they got the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show. They got the Solomonster show, and they got a few other ones that they put up there, which I'm not too familiar with. I don't really listen to them all that much. But the ones I like on TV Traxs is Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle. I'll listen to them sometimes, depending on what they're talking about. And then Solomonster. With Solomonster, I like Solomonster so much that I actually became a fan of his podcast. Like I was just listening to his clips on TV Traxs for a while, and then I found his YouTube channel, and then I gave in and started looking for his podcast. And now every week I make plans every week to listen to his podcast because it's that good. So that's how I found him, and that, basically there's not much to talk about TV Traxs. So one thing I do think is kind of cool though is they acknowledge the fact, like the podcast people, like even Don, Tony, Kevin Castle, or Solomonster, they always acknowledge TV Traxs. They know that TV Traxs is putting their stuff up. So it's kind of like free advertisement for them, and they don't care. So I don't know if they have a direct relationship with TV Traxs, or they just know that this guy's doing it, and they just, they went with it. They're like, okay, they're putting free clips, and I think that's helped out both of their shows. I think because Solomonster, I think, gotten bigger after his. That's how I found him. So, and then on the Solomonster's YouTube channel, what you normally get is sometimes you'll get clips of his podcast if it's about something big. Like when the whole Hogan controversy went down, he put a clip of it, of his podcast on there that just talked about the Hogan controversy. He also did a video. He also does interviews on his YouTube channel, like he did JTG, Booker T, Rob Van Dam. He's done, he did the zombie from ECW was on his show. I don't know if he did that as a YouTube. Yeah, I think he put that on there because I think the guy who played the zombie passed away. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. If he's still alive, I'm very sorry I said you were dead. Jim Ross has been on his show. And DDP is actually a big fan of the show. In fact, Solomonster is so popular that DDP actually mentioned him in that movie about the revival of Jake the Snake. So I guess both Jake the Snake and DDP listened to Solomonster. And there was kind of a funny bit there. I'm going to go a little off track here because this was kind of cool. So they found out, so Solomonster, DDP wanted to do something with Solomonster, right? So he mentions to Solomonster, hey, we're going to go do this thing. And then he forgets to hear about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So Solomonster on his show was like, well, you know, I guess DDP forgot about me or whatever. You know, it's not a big deal. And then like the very next week, DDP contacted him and said, oops, sorry, let's get this together. And DDP actually showed up on his podcast. So I thought that was kind of cool. That's how big DDP must listen to him all the time, because he said, hey, DDP forgot about me. And then like the next day, DDP was already back in contact with him because he's like, oh, crap, you know, I forgot about your, I had to do this thing with you. So I think that's kind of cool how his relationship with some of the wrestlers are. JTG's been on his show twice now, promoting 2 books. But yeah, he's just a really funny guy. So I definitely recommend, if you like straight up wrestling reviews. I know I talk about wrestling a little bit, but I don't go into long detailed reviews. If you want like long details review because you want to like know what's going on with the product, for some reason you're missing episodes or you don't have the channels like for ROH and stuff like that, watching him and having him describe stuff to you is a good way to keep up with wrestling. I know for a fact because I had to do it last year. So when I went back to watching wrestling, even going back to watching NXT, which I hadn't watched for a long time, using him to watch it really helped me out, because I was able to, I knew who was on there. I knew about the arrival of Samoa Joe and Austin Aries, and you know, kind of knew about AJ Styles' appearances before it happened. But I mean, I think it's pretty cool though that all well, that's another video for another day. But yeah, Solomonster, I highly recommend them. And I also recommend TV Traxs, because they have a lot of podcasts on there. And if you just kind of want to hear like different podcasts and stuff, just kind of check them out for a little bit. And then like you'll find someone you like. And then if you really, really like them very much, you can seek them out and find out, like listen to their whole show if you kind of like how their podcasts are, which I think it's really cool that TV Traxs does that. And I think it's even cooler that TV Traxs is acknowledged by the people that he does that for, and they thank him and all that. So I think I just wanted to recommend both of these. I just kind of lumped them together because Solomonster's channel, YouTube channel, it's good, but to really get the full experience, you really need to listen to his podcast. So. But anyways, check them out. Tell me what you think. And subscribe to my channel while you're at it. Check me out. Watch more. See my weight loss vlogs. Tomorrow is going to be a weight loss vlog. We're going to see if I go from 310 down to 306. That's my goal. So let's see tomorrow if I'm down to 306. And watch my weight loss vlog tomorrow. All right. Bye.